Yeah. It's good? Okay. Okay, for those of you who are just tuning in, we are standing right on the corner close to the Tim Hortons in Warman, and we're finally at Ray Keighley's art studio at Route 11 in Warman. Hi, Ray.
Hi there.
So we're so excited to be here, and today we get to have a look at Ray's studio and some of the projects that he's working on. Can we go inside?
You bet.
All right.
Come on in.
Come on in.
You're all welcome. I don't know if you get a chance to get that mural at all that we just completed.
It's beautiful. All right.
Yeah, it's just one that we completed with the help of some the community people here. It was a lot of fun putting together.
We were just talking about the location here is very central in Warman, and Ray said that sometimes you can just pop by anytime and see what he's working on. Okay, we have to stop for 1 second here, Ray.
Yep.
Tell me whose studio space is next door to you?
This is Tracy Beckler's her studio, and she does a lot of really beautiful work here. And she's the one that started this whole idea. So it's been I've really appreciated getting to know her and the other artists here.
That's awesome. I was saying I'm sort of jealous because it would be really nice to be working in a space with other artists so you can bounce ideas off each other,
that's huge
stuff
fun,
like that. Yeah.
It is really, and to even see how upcoming artists are developing and being part of that's exciting too.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, look at this amazing space. First of all, I'm going to go on this side. I'm going to meet Ray at the back because when I first walked in here, my eye was drawn to these two beautiful paintings at the back. And Ray, maybe you can tell us a little bit about these two.
Yeah, these are portraits I did back in 1986. That's my father, Basil Keighley, and my mom, Mary Keighley. And they had come to, when I took my Bachelor of Fine Arts at U of S, they came to see what I was all doing, and they sat down, and I saw the light hit them just so nicely that I said, I've got to get some sketches. I've got to do a little photograph and work up some paintings. So that's what I did. And my dad was 50 years older than I was, so he was born in 1903, and he lived in northern Saskatchewan in La Ronge as a hunter and a trapper and a carpenter too. So that's another thing he did. So it's quite a character.
I really like how the light is playing off both of them. It has a really warm feel, and you can almost feel that they're very proud of what you were doing. Were they always supportive of you pursuing art?
Oh, very much so, which was kind of strange because, I mean, in a way you would think, well, art and stuff, but, nothing else. They made sure I got to classes. They made sure I was involved and in a lodge, they were part of helping me to do my artwork and do that kind of stuff. And throughout my career, there's been mentors I've had, and the way to best honor those people is do your art, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. Oh, wow. I also, now, Ray is...
Let's cook 'em.
Okay, tell us about this one because I think we mentioned a little bit that you do printmaking, you do painting, and you do carving. And this one that we're looking at right now is some of your printmaking work, right?
Yeah, this one I believe was a stone litho I did at the university. It's called Ancestral Roots, and it's my grandmother, and that's her brother. I never met these people, but I got this black and white photograph, and I worked it up into a print, and it looks like they're just having a great time on the shore with their fishing and getting jackfish ready to go, right? So
that's great. I love that it shows like the activities of the day.
Yeah.
And that family's a part of. He's got a big fish.
Yeah, nice big jack.
What's the net at the back?
That net has just come out. That's what they used to catch their fish, and they probably just having it out there to dry now.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, now another piece that caught my attention. I'm just going to go like this. This one you said is a bit of an older piece.
Yeah, it was done in
Actually, not that old,
yeah,
but
it's 1972.
Okay.
And I just finished my high school, so that was done in the foothills of Alberta, so you can see the Rocky Mountains, and that's what I grew up seeing every morning, was that scene there. And so I was finished high school, and I was kind of wondering where in the world I was going to end up and what I was going to do. So that's when you kind of feel like somebody's a scavenger is going to be. But you know what? It's got the question in the clouds.
I just saw that now.
And in a lot of ways, I'm still there. I'm
Right.
still wondering and questioning where this all is going to go. And I like that idea now. I'm comfortable with it.
What about the dewdrops around the edge at the bottom?
I think those were kind of tears, as you were growing up, you were leaving your adolescence, childhood stuff, and that was part of the tears that you shed, that you might be shedding at that time, right? So
It feels a lot like those miniature portraits that people used to make in the 1800s that
Yeah,
were really
yeah.
popular.
yeah,
And there's a real seriousness about it, but it also seems like a turning point in your life. when
yeah,
you're
I think it really
embarking.
was, yeah. So yeah, it's I've had it in other shows too.
Okay, sorry.
We got to keep moving, I
We're
guess.
okay.
No, just the mic.
Yeah, well,
Okay. Oh, I see.
I see.
Okay, so we've got. I noticed this one as well, and it's done in this really cool sort of.
Yeah,
folk,
it was a
folk
painting
style.
done for Rendezvous Canada during 2005, and it's actually at Batoche, and you can see Batoche Rectory and chapel up there, and some of the symbols of the Métis and celebrating the Métis. That was the focal point for that year. So I won the contract, and I had a great time doing that piece. And they worked up 1,500 prints that went around the world. Everybody who was a delegate got a print. So
Well,
that's kind of cool.
yeah, no doubt. We're going to move down a little bit here. Okay, so I need you to explain some of the printmaking process.
Okay,
of
this is a
one.
monotype print. It's monotype print is one of a kind. You work up the colors on this I'm working on a metal plate, and as you work them up, you have to work quickly so it doesn't dry. You make these little templates of the coyotes and different things. It's called Under Your Nose, and if anybody knows about coyotes, they're living in downtown Saskatoon. They're coming down your street in the middle of the night, or they're near your backyard and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And they're just so it's an interesting process, and it's very immediate. You have to work fast and get the composition together quickly. So.
Yes. Are you using like a brush to spread the ink around?
Yeah,
that
in this
way?
case I was brushing down the textures and stuff, so it's quite painterly.
Yes. I was going to say there's a lot of looseness and like there's a ton of movement in it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that in this process you do have to work quickly. But you were saying that's part of the beauty of it, right?
Oh, yeah,
'Cause it makes
absolutely.
you make those kind of decisions.
You make quick decisions, and you find out, hey, you know what, I made the right decision, right? So-
Yeah. And I was saying too, I like how just the whole idea of having coyotes moving between the wild and the civilized
Yeah.
spaces or whatever, and maybe humans aren't as easily adaptable
Yeah,
to
they're
them
they're
coming.
tremendously adaptable.
Yeah, but we're really encroaching on their space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and this is pretty cool. Do you want to pick this up? Maybe we can have a peek
There's
at
a-
this.
Project I'm working on right now. It's this is maple, and I made 2 discs actually. This is one over there and one here, and it's a Treaty 6 metal. I'm part of the Treaty 6. I'm a member of the Lac La Ronge band, so we were one of the last signers for Treaty 6. This is going to be part of this is the plan, and I'm going to have colored background. It'll be in the middle, and it'll show some of the symbols of the Métis, of reconciliation, and it's I already have a client for it, so that's kind of helps too.
I know you've been working a lot on different types of reconciliation projects. Tell us a little bit about what that's meant for you, or what that process has been like.
Yeah, I guess this is the time of reconciliation, and I guess it always has been, but it's been ignored for a lot of years. And so when I look back at my art career, I've touched on that quite often, because I'm Métis, but I'm also a treaty member, so I've had to deal with that whole idea. My great grandfather or great grandfather was a signer for Treaty 6, for our reserve, right? So it's touched my life, and you can't help but showing what I'm working at. You know, I bring it up from time to time.
Yeah, it's who you are.
It's who I am, and it's what you celebrate.
Exactly, and I've really appreciated hearing about a lot of the reconciliation projects that you've been doing in some of the schools. Like you were doing an artist in residence here, but you did a one at Waka. Was that a mural?
Yeah, I've done actually quite a few. I worked with what used to be called Treaty Smart, and we would do reconciliation murals in what was that district now? But out in the east, anyways, and there was 11 schools, and we did 11 little mini murals that all connected together. And I have that here, but it's too much to probably show. But anyways, it's something I've done a lot of with schools throughout the years, and I like these projects because. And everything, I think I learned more than anybody else does. So,
that's awesome.
So that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I think the kids really enjoy the process as well. Speaking of kids and different processes, okay, now let's see if we can show. Tell us a little bit about.
These are little mini monoprints.
Okay.
And they were done they call it on a gel plate, and it's watercolor inks, so it dries really quickly. And you have to make quick decisions. You have to put them down quickly. You can do some pre-preparation and doing templates and cutting out templates, but once you get the ink down and the paint down, you got to get moving.
Yes, and for those who have never done mono printing, you're cutting out some figures here, right? Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, these are what I call the templates, but on little like paper dolls.
Yes.
Like these are paper dolls that are folded and folded and folded, right? So you get people dancing and stuff like that, or using paper doilies.
Oh yeah.
So you can use found objects and work them in. I have a larger one out in the studio there or in the gallery. It's called Brothers, and it's about Oka. And so it shows fabric and different things and feathers, textures of feathers. It's fun. It's always kind of a surprise, and things always work better when you're surprised about it.
Yeah. Now, what I think is really cool is Ray was explaining to me that you can often use this as sort of the guide or inspiration to larger paintings.
That's right.
And I don't know if we have a moment to look at a couple of other pieces in your gallery.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to come around this way. And Josie's going to film the gallery as we move. Okay. Here we go. Because this gallery is massive, and it's full of all kinds of work that Ray is doing. As we walk past it, we're going to come back to this. But this is a really neat... Am I allowed to spin this, Ray? Wait. What's this?
It's a table.
Whew, I'm glad I didn't spin that normal part. So, okay, you're also a wood carver. Come over here by your carving.
Yeah.
And tell us what we have here.
This is called Treaty Country. And again, I have the Treaty 6 medal here. And I started off with this deer here. This is where I started. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I was going to do a carving. And I started carving it out. And I knew I had a hawk or an eagle here. This is actually a prairie falcon. And you can see the little fawn in the grass, a little fox in the hole. Because it's just for kids to enjoy it too, right? So
for all of us,
yeah.
Does the shape of the wood start giving you ideas?
Yeah, I like the crown because there's a branch coming here, there's a branch coming out there, there's a branch, so it's all like opportunities. Opportunities to work. This is Holy Trinity Church in Stanley Mission, the oldest church in Saskatchewan, and on the Churchill River. This kind of represents otters coming down the Nastawiak Falls, not far from there.
Oh yeah.
And the warrior with the prairie scene, buffalo, big image, the eagle, a big image. This part is a peace pipe, and the smoke goes up to make the eagle.
And so when you're carving, do you start like with a chainsaw, or how?
Actually, I do. I just get really brutal with it and start taking out chunks because I see opportunities there, and sometimes I go overboard. And it's one thing about wood; you can always kind of put it back on.
I was thinking you couldn't. Okay.
Yeah. Well, to a degree you can,
yes,
right? So,
yeah.
So it was a good piece to work with. And it took around 3 years in total, maybe about 250 to 300 hours of work. So
wow. And then you go in with a wood burning tool,
wood burning tools,
right?
and get the details.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
While we're talking about some wood. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. And so you know what? If anyone has questions in about 2 minutes, we're going to take some questions for Ray. And I know there's probably a million questions, but we'll just talk about this, and then it'll be time for a little Q&A. Tell us about what's happening here. This is so...
Okay, this is a poplar wood, and they have a tendency to be rotten in the middle. So I started taking out the punk wood. And as I was taking it out, I found this bear head. So I started reworking that, and then as I cut off the end, I found a jackrabbit, which I made into prints.
I love that way of working.
And then I made the bear head into other prints, and so it kept on developing. And I'm still thinking there's something else to find in here. So,
but it's wonderful how your different mediums play off each other. You get an idea from this one, then it becomes this, and then these could be painting after that.
These are rubs. A lot of these are rubs.
Yeah, like texture rubbings, right?
Yeah, and with pencil crayon watercolor stuff that you can rub and then add water and add different stuff to it. So I actually did some printing. There's a little coyote print I have.
Right here. Yeah, that's really neat. It's like the day is long and you can fill it, moving from one art piece to the next.
And you just get excited doing it, right? You just keep on going.
I'm just amazed at if you're able to take a quick pan of the room, how many paintings and prints, and then there's a spot set up for art classes. These are some horse paintings.
Yeah, coat of many colors there. Timbit Roundup.
The horse is in line.
Yeah. These ones are Marty Giesbrecht. She's another one of the studio artists that we have. And she does some great work here. We have all different styles, but that's a lovely thing about it, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I really enjoy having that collaborative opportunity.
Yeah.
And then in my other work that is less realistic but more kind of stylized, and it's based on the whole idea of the real and the unreal, and playing off those and the symbolic kind of things that are happening.
Okay. Yeah, like let's just talk about this one here.
Yeah, this is called Dear Dream, and this is one that I worked from monoprint and then developed into painting, and so the energy was still there, and I still wanted to work on it and develop something.
I think that's really cool because at first when I saw it from far away, I thought it was done with printmaking, and then when you get closer, you see that it's a painting, but you're using printmaking.
Yeah, I'm using stencils.
Yep.
I've cut out stencils. I've laid down bands of things and then painted over top of them, and that's all part of a printmaking techniques, right? So
yeah. And in a lot of your work, I'm seeing these sort of, it's like patterns and symbolic sort of shapes.
When I do these things, I find that is the closest to, let's say, doing composing music. I don't know what's going to happen there. I just start painting and I start feeling a rhythm. I start seeing something happening and go with the pattern and develop something. And so it becomes more like a composition of a music or something like that.
I totally get what you're saying when I look at it. There's a lot of repetition and balance.
Rhythm and movement.
And echoes and louder and softer. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, anyone who's watching from home, Josie, if let's head over here, Ray. Hang on. We'll just see. We'll stop in front of these ones. Does anyone have any questions that's coming through that you might want to ask Ray?
This is Metawatan, which is Let's Play. And so it's a bear image. But as I was painting that and putting in the images, I saw two eyes in the bush. So I started developing that, and it became something like, it wants to be there, so let's make it there, right? So let's let it happen, and you got the braids coming down, and so this becomes almost like a headdress.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was fun to. I find it, if I allow the painting to speak to me, and then I find it's better if I listen to that.
Right. Don't fight it. It's sort of intuitive.
Yeah.
And it's an organic.
It wants to be that. Let it be that. Right. So.
Oh, that's great.
So that's kind of the way it works.
Can people come in here during the week? Oh, okay. So can people come in here during the week?
For the most part, we do run some classes, but even for some, especially if smaller classes, we can. I'm usually here, so. I can take you through the studio. I can take you around the gallery, and that way, I mean, we're called interactive galleries, so interactive studios, and we want to kind of have that opportunity to keep it that way, right? So it's a very welcoming space. That's what and when I'm out there outside carving with a chainsaw or something like that, and somebody stops by, let's go take a tour.
That's great. Yeah. I think you get that feeling here with the couches and things that are in the entrance.
Yeah, if you want a coffee, we'll make a coffee. You bring the Timbits, we're good.
Okay. Oh yeah, great. Here, Ray, let's this banner here.
Yeah, this is my reconciliation banner I did last summer. It's the Four Seasons, and you see the treaty metal and the handshakes and the different race kind of thing happening. It was Regina, Saskatoon, the winterscape. The ends are more like country, and it's kind of quiet areas. And this is more industry and economics and that kind of stuff. So that was what happened with settling the land out here, right? And we still are trying to figure out how we should properly share it all.
Right, like the railway is coming through with, that being an issue, I think.
And the Northern Bush Plain and jets and all sorts of stuff. It was really fun putting it together. And again, I didn't have really any plan. I just started working and put it together that way. So.
Another question. As you paint, do you listen to music or just find the music?
Oh, so as you paint,
yes.
Do you listen to music?
Lots of music.
Lots of music.
Lots of music, yeah. And all sorts. I have my old record player here, and I've got all sorts of old records and some newer records, but everything from Bob Dylan to Charlie Pride to Bryan Adams and all sorts of different artists. And it I don't know, I just really like working to having some music on.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Not particularly. I like it all. I like country. I like a little bit of rock. I really got this year into the Tragically Hip because I was I did they have Gordon Downey and Cheney Winchak funding, and so I was asked to do if I could participate in an auction, and I did a painting for them, and 100 Meridian is as the tribute band, and I know the lead there and the guitar player. Actually used to go to high school over here and was a friend of my son. I taught him some art classes, so that was cool.
That is cool. Right on. I think that's great that you have it all working together.
Yeah, it's interesting when when you're working, and especially something like this, you have opportunities, things come by because people see you. And when I worked on my own studio and I was stuck in a little island, well, if you get into an artist block, it's just you. And when you're here working with other people, you have somebody to kind of push and pull you out of that kind of area. So.
Do you want to end on that piece on the table?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sure.
Ray, I'll follow you. There's this really cool piece right over here. Okay, I'm gonna come close to you.
I'll put it up for you a little bit.
Okay.
Now, this is acrylic on canvas I did in my last year of high school, and again it was kind of to try and figure out where I was going and what I was going to be doing in my life, and you know what, it's still relevant, I think, even for today. And so I want to put it down on this board. I'm going to glue it down, and I might even clean up some of the paint on it and present it. And so it's a lot of fun. I might even do a series of eyes. I'm thinking of doing that.
As you back up, you get the giant eyeball. I kind of like the cracks in there too.
Yeah, I want to keep some of them.
It.
Yeah, I want to keep some of that for sure.
That's just,
They call that patina, right?
yes, exactly.
I noticed the question mark. How many paintings do you have that in?
With that in, I don't. Only a couple, really. You know, there was a couple here that I was grade 12. You're thinking of like what's going to happen, right? And I can't believe what's happened with grads this year, and it was hard to see what they had to go through. But they're such a unique group now, and I'm glad that we're celebrating them. So.
Well, that's good. Well, Ray, I just wanted to say it was such a treat to come here to your studio and see where all the magic happens, because we keep seeing new stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, just keep going, right?
It's amazing to me. And so thanks for inviting us in and sharing a little bit about yourself and your work with us.
Yeah, come for a visit again for sure.
I will. Yeah. Thanks a lot, and thanks for everyone joining in.
Maybe we can do some collaborating ourselves.
Maybe we can. Okay. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next time. Our next artist talk might be after the summer is done, early September, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again.